The Guardian's Dilemma. Captain Nix Blackwood stood at rigid attention outside the royal chambers, trying to ignore the ethereal humming that seemed to follow Princess Solara wherever she went. 3 months into his assignment as her personal guard, and he still hadn't grown accustomed to the way her crystalline skin cast rainbow reflections across the station's polished walls. "Captain, you're hovering again," Solara's melodic voice drifted through the doorway. "Do come inside. This formal distance is becoming tedious." Nix suppressed a sigh as he entered. The princess's quarters were a blend of advanced technology and artistic beauty, much like the Luminian royal herself. Solara lounged on a hovering crystal dais, her iridescent robes shifting colors with each movement. "Your Highness, the diplomatic delegation from Earth arrives in 2 hours," he reminded her, keeping his eyes fixed on a point just above her head. "The High Council expects your presence at the welcoming ceremony." Solara's laugh tinkled like wind chimes. "Oh, they expect many things, don't they? Just as they expected me to be a proper Luminian princess who doesn't find humans fascinating." She floated closer, her natural bioluminescence intensifying. "Tell me, Captain, why do you think they assigned a human to guard me?" "Security protocol dictates dash." "Security protocol," she mimicked, rolling her opalescent eyes. "I requested you specifically, after reviewing your combat records from the Nexus War. Though I must admit, the files failed to capture how delightfully stubborn you are." Nix felt heat rise in his neck. "Princess, this is inappropriate." "Inappropriate?" Solara's form shimmered with amusement. "I'm merely making conversation with my guard. Unless..." She drifted even closer, close enough that he could smell her exotic perfume, like starlight and ancient crystal caves. "Unless you're afraid of something else entirely." Before he could respond, his neural implant buzzed with an urgent alert. "Security breach in Sector 7, he announced, grateful for the interruption. "We need to move you to a secure location." "How convenient," Solara sighed, but allowed him to escort her to the panic room. As they hurried through the corridors, Nix couldn't shake the feeling that she had orchestrated this somehow. The security alert turned out to be genuine, a minor reactor malfunction that set off the sensitive detection systems. But as Nix watched Solara charm the engineering crew with her presence during the all-clear inspection, he noticed something odd. The princess's normally brilliant glow had dimmed slightly, and she kept pressing one hand to her midsection when she thought no one was looking. That evening, as he stood guard outside her chambers, he heard the distinct sound of retching. His training warred with concern until duty won out. "Your Highness. Are you unwell? Should I summon the medical team?" "No." Her voice was sharp with panic. "No doctors. I'm fine, just stay out there." But Nix had served in enough combat zones to recognize when someone was hiding something. And as he listened to more muffled sounds of distress, a completely impossible thought began forming in his mind. The Luminian royal family was famous for their unique biology, their crystalline forms were believed to be incompatible with other species. But as he recalled the princess's recent behavior changes, her fascination with humans, and now these symptoms. "Impossible," he muttered to himself. But even as he said it, he knew that nothing was truly impossible when it came to Princess Solara of the Luminian Empire. And if his suspicions were correct, both their lives were about to become infinitely more complicated. Forbidden frequencies. The medical bay's pristine white walls seemed to mock Nix as he stood guard while Princess Solara underwent her routine examination. The past week had been a careful dance of secrets and half-truths, but they couldn't hide the truth forever. Dr. Venna, the station's xenobiologist, emerged from the examination room with an unreadable expression on her scaled face. "Captain, a word." She led him aside, lowering her voice. "The princess's condition is unprecedented. Her crystalline matrix is undergoing changes we've never seen before." "Is she in danger?" Nix asked, his hand unconsciously tightening on his weapon. "Not exactly, but..." Dr. Vena's tail twitched nervously. Captain, her bioluminescent frequencies are syncing with human biological patterns. It's as if her body is adapting to accommodate something new. Before Nix could process this information, a crash came from the examination room. They rushed in to find Solara standing amidst scattered medical equipment, her skin pulsing with agitated light patterns. "I won't be treated like some scientific curiosity," she declared, her voice resonating with royal authority despite her obvious distress. "This is my body, my choice, and my responsibility." "Your Highness," Dr. Vena began, "the High Council needs to be informed. The High Council," Solara's glow intensified dangerously, "will do what they've always done, try to control me for the sake of political stability. Captain Blackwood, escort me to my quarters." Nix hesitated, torn between protocol and the pleading look in Solara's opalescent eyes. Finally, he nodded. "Doctor, this consultation falls under royal privacy protocols. No reports will be filed without the princess's explicit consent." Later, in the privacy of her chambers, Solara's composed facade crumbled. "They'll try to terminate it," she whispered, one hand protectively covering her midsection. "A hybrid child would append centuries of Laminian genetic purity propaganda." "The father?" Nick started, then stopped, unsure how to ask. Solara's laugh was bitter. "Isn't it obvious? There's only one human I've allowed close enough." Her glow dimmed to almost nothing. "I didn't know it was possible. Our species aren't supposed to be compatible. But my abilities, my natural frequencies, they've been adapting, changing, ever since we met." Nix felt the floor shift beneath his feet. "Me? But we never. Physical contact isn't necessary for my people," she explained. "We reproduce through resonant frequency harmonization. Your presence, your energy, my body synchronized with it without either of us realizing." The implications hit him like a plasma blast. A human Laminian hybrid, born of unauthorized resonance with a common guard. The diplomatic fallout would be catastrophic. "What do you need me to do?" he asked, already knowing he would do anything she asked, protocol be damned. Solara's glow brightened slightly. "Help me hide it, just for a few more weeks. I have a plan, but I need time. The annual crystal convergence is approaching. If I can present this to the High Council during the sacred ceremonies, even they won't dare interfere. And if they try anyway?" Her expression hardened. "Then they'll learn that light can burn as well as illuminate." She reached out, her crystalline fingers nearly touching his chest. "I won't let them harm our child, Nix. No matter what it costs." The use of his first name sent a shiver through him. As he watched her glow pulse in sync with his heartbeat, he realized that everything, his career, his duty, his life, had changed irrevocably. And somehow, he couldn't bring himself to regret it. Royal deception. The crystal convergence was 1 week away when everything started to unravel. Solara's pregnancy had become harder to conceal. Her usually pristine light patterns now flickered with unexpected pulses, matching the developing hybrid child's unique energy signature. Ambassador Thrace of the Laminian High Council arrived unannounced at the station, his crystalline form towering over the regular staff. "Princess," his voice reverberated through the reception chamber, "your absence from recent council meetings has not gone unnoticed." Nix watched from his post as Solara maintained her composure, though her glow dimmed noticeably. "Ambassador, your concern is touching, if unnecessary. I've been focusing on diplomatic relations with our human allies." "Yes," Thrace's faceted eyes shifted to Nix. "You've grown quite invested in human affairs." His tone carried centuries of aristocratic disdain. "The council has arranged your marriage to Prince Zenith of the Stellar Concordat. The ceremony will take place immediately after the convergence." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Solara's light patterns froze in a rigid pattern. "The council oversteps its authority. I have not agreed to any marriage. My dear princess, Thrace's crystalline form sparkled with condescension. Your agreement is not required. The alliance is vital for maintaining peace in the quantum corridors. Surely you wouldn't risk interstellar war over personal preferences. Nyx's hand tightened on his weapon, but Solara's subtle head shake stopped him from intervening. She rose gracefully, her glow intensifying. You speak of peace, Ambassador, yet threaten war in the same breath. Perhaps the Council should examine its own priorities before dictating mine. Your priorities? Thrace's voice crackled with energy. Like your inappropriate fascination with lesser species. Your questionable choice in personal guards. There are rumors, Princess Solara, disturbing rumors. Then let them remain rumors, she replied coldly. Unless you wish to openly accuse the heir to the Luminian throne of impropriety. That would be quite the scandal at the convergence. The standoff lasted several tense moments before Thrace inclined his head stiffly. The Council awaits your presence at the ceremony, Your Highness. Do not disappoint us. He swept from the room, leaving behind a charged silence. As soon as they were alone, Solara's composure cracked. Her light patterns became erratic, and she pressed both hands to her midsection. They know, she whispered. Not everything, but enough to be suspicious. Thrace's visit was a warning. Nyx moved to her side, protocol forgotten. We need to accelerate your plan. The convergence dash. Will be too late, she finished. The marriage announcement changes everything. Once it's official, any scandal would be seen as an attack on both houses. Her glow pulsed with determination. We need to act now, tonight. What are you suggesting? Solara's eyes met his, their opalescent depths swirling with emotion. The station's quantum drive contains enough energy to mask a targeted frequency burst. If I can access it, I can broadcast our child's unique signature to every crystalline being in the sector. They'll all know the truth, that humans and Luminians can create life together. The Council won't be able to hide it. That's impossible, Nyx protested. The drive core is heavily guarded. Even with my clearance dash. Impossible? She smiled, her glow synchronizing with his heartbeat. Like a human and a Luminian creating a child together. Sometimes, Captain, impossible things just need the right moment to become reality. As they began planning their midnight raid on the station's core, Nyx realized that duty and love weren't always opposing forces. Sometimes they aligned perfectly, like two frequencies finding harmony in the vast emptiness of space. Breaking protocol. The station's night cycle cast everything in deep shadows as Nyx and Solara made their way through maintenance tunnels toward the quantum drive core. Her crystalline form was dimmed to its lowest output, though occasional pulses of light betrayed her anxiety. Security rotation changes in 4 minutes, Nyx whispered, checking his tactical display. That's our window. The massive drive core chamber loomed before them, its quantum containment field humming with barely contained power. 2 guards stood at attention by the main console, members of the Luminian Royal Guard, their crystalline armor gleaming. Solara stepped forward, her royal authority radiating. Stand down, she commanded. The guards hesitated, their formations shifting uncertainly. Your Highness, one began, protocol requires dash. I am your princess, she interrupted, her voice resonating with power. And I require access to the core. Her glow intensified, patterns rippling across her surface in hypnotic waves. The guard's own crystalline forms began to resonate in response, their light synchronizing with hers. The Council warned us you might try something, the second guard said, raising his weapon. They said you've been compromised. Nyx moved with military precision, his neural implants kicking into overdrive. Before either guard could react, he had them disarmed and stunned. We have 3 minutes before their absence is noticed. Solara rushed to the control panel, her fingers dancing across the crystalline interface. Her body began to glow brighter, drawing power from the quantum core. The frequency broadcast needs to be precise. Too weak, and it won't reach beyond the station. Too strong. And you could harm the baby, Nix finished, taking up a defensive position by the door. The quantum core's hum increased as Solara channeled its energy. Her entire form became translucent, light pouring from within. Through their resonant connection, Nix could feel the strain it was putting on her. Alarms began blaring throughout the station. "Someone's figured out what we're doing," he reported, checking his tactical display. "Multiple security teams converging on our position. Almost there." Solara's voice was strained. Her hands pressed against her midsection, where a new light pattern was forming, different from her own, a perfect blend of crystalline brilliance and human warmth. The chamber doors burst open. Ambassador Thrace strode in, flanked by elite guards. "This ends now, Princess. Step away from the core." Instead, Solara smiled. "No, Ambassador. This is just the beginning." She placed both hands on the quantum interface and released everything she had been holding back. The burst of energy was blinding. It radiated outward through the station, through space itself, carrying with it an unmistakable truth, the signature of new life, neither fully human nor fully Luminian, but something gloriously unique. Nix watched in awe as Solara's message reached every crystalline being in range. Their forms resonated with the revelation, light patterns shifting and changing as they absorbed the reality of what was possible. "You've doomed us all," Thrace snarled, but his own form betrayed him, resonating with the hybrid frequency. "I've freed us," Solara corrected, though her voice was weak. From fear, from prejudice, from dash, she stumbled, her light flickering dangerously. Nix caught her before she could fall. The strain of the broadcast had taken its toll. "Medical team to the core chamber," he barked into his calm, now. As chaos erupted around them, Solara's hand found his. "They can't deny it now," she whispered. Every Luminian in the sector felt it. "Our child, our future. Save your strength," he urged, but she was already slipping into unconsciousness, her glow fading to a dangerous dimness. The last thing Nix saw before the medical team arrived was Ambassador Thrace's face, no longer angry, but transformed by wonder as the hybrid frequency continued to resonate through his crystalline form, changing everything they thought they knew about what was possible. Starlit destiny. The medical bay hummed with activity as Solara's crystalline form slowly regained its brilliance. 3 days had passed since the quantum core incident, and the political landscape of the entire sector had shifted dramatically. "The Council is in complete disarray," Dr. Venna reported, checking Solara's resonance patterns. "Your broadcast did more than reveal your child's existence, it proved that every assumption about Luminian biology needs to be re-evaluated." Solara's glow pulsed weakly with satisfaction. "And the marriage arrangement?" "Dissolved," Nix answered from his position by her bedside. He hadn't left since they brought her in. Prince Zenith himself withdrew the proposal, citing unprecedented circumstances requiring careful diplomatic consideration. A delegation of Luminian scientists had arrived that morning, their crystalline forms vibrating with barely contained excitement as they studied the hybrid frequency patterns. Even Ambassador Thrace had been forced to acknowledge the significance of what Solara had accomplished. "The child's resonance is stable," Dr. Venna announced, her scaled tail swishing with professional satisfaction. "The quantum burst actually strengthened the hybrid patterns instead of disrupting them. It's as if the baby knew exactly what frequency to maintain." Solara's hand found Nix's. "Of course it did. Our child represents the best of both worlds, human adaptability and Luminian resonance." The door chimed, admitting a surprisingly humble-looking Ambassador Thrace. His crystalline form had changed subtly since the broadcast, new patterns emerging in his usual rigid structure. "Princess," he began formally, then softened. "Solara. The High Council has reconsidered its position. Your actions, while unorthodox, have opened possibilities we never imagined. The hybrid frequency, your child's frequency, has sparked a renaissance in Luminian society. Meaning? Solara's grip on Nyx's hand tightened. Meaning that the Council formally recognizes your union with Captain Blackwood, and acknowledges your child as heir to the Luminian throne. Thrace's form sparkled with what might have been amusement. It seems the universe had plans of its own, regardless of our careful political maneuvering. After he left, Solara turned to Nyx, her glow synchronizing perfectly with his heartbeat. I told you impossible things just needed the right moment. And nearly got yourself killed proving it, he reminded her, but there was no real reproach in his voice. Her laugh tinkled like crystal wind chimes. Worth it. Besides, now you're officially my consort instead of my guard. No more hiding behind protocol. As if in response, a new frequency emerged from Solara's midsection, stronger now, a perfect harmony of human strength and Luminian light. Their child, already breaking boundaries before it was even born. The whole sector will be watching us, Nyx said softly. Waiting to see what this means for the future. Let them watch. Solara's glow encompassed them both, creating a private universe of synchronized light. We'll show them that love doesn't follow protocols or respect boundaries. It simply finds a way to shine. In the vastness of space, frequencies shifted and changed, as if the universe itself was adjusting to accommodate this new possibility. And in a medical bay on a diplomatic station, a human soldier and a crystalline princess created their own definition of impossible, one resonant heartbeat at a time.